Hello, Natroners, and welcome back to another episode of VFX with Natron. So, today we're going to be looking at our SeExpr SeArray node that we've been working on. But this is going to be a light episode because, as I mentioned in the last one, I'm going to be, well, I think I mentioned in the last one. By the way, this is my mug. I mentioned in the last one that I'm moving in the not so distant future. So it means that I'm limited on time for a little while. Hard to say, but we're in the process of moving. Things have changed around here a little bit. Anyhow, I'm trying to keep this mostly looking the same. But it means that this has to be a shorter episode, and I can't really get into the nitty-gritty details that we usually do. So I was trying to think of things to do that are kind of interesting based off of what we already have. So first of all, I wanted to bring up what I did after I ended the last episode. I played with it a little bit more, and I took it and I brought us to basically took the end result of the last episode, and people have already probably seen this if they've watched the YouTube video, but I transitioned basically what we had last time into this, and that is you know, it's the exact same project. The only difference is that I had rounded this stuff off and or rounded off the cubes and changed the way that the glows affected it. But other than that, it was pretty much the exact same thing. So I'm hopping over into Natron over here, and this is where we left off. And you can see that this is actually a modified. I added annotations and everything. If people haven't downloaded some of my previous episodes, pretty much if I upload something to, I'll almost always include annotations like this, which are, but I don't know if I've ever actually gone over one in the past. So I pretty much try to describe what's going on at each stage of the process so that people can go through it and, you know, check these things out on their own. Even if it's not, it's just in case it doesn't come across as clear in the videos themselves. Anyhow, but today what I wanted to do is, oh yes, and the one thing that is a little, that you might notice is if you load this up, it starts off in a pause state because it turns out there's a small bug. I'm not sure exactly why it's happening, but the time loop nodes do not like to, they don't always activate properly at the start for some reason. So I found out that if I and if they don't start off properly at the start, then what happens is there's an expression in them that gets broken. And now I don't know the whole reasons why the expression breaks, but it's one of the core expressions. Something we might explore in the future is actually making a better time loop node. Because it's not that hard. Anyway, but because of that, what I did is I made it so that it stayed in a pause state at the beginning. That way, when we unpause it, it will the time loop nodes will refresh at that point, and it will hopefully draw correctly. And it seems to, and everything seems to, on all my tests, everything is loaded in. And this is, I had actually uploaded this a few times for the people on Facebook. Anyhow. We're going way off topic. I just want to wait until this gets up because I just wanted to point out that this is what it looks like after I've annotated. And you can see there's little comments. I do notes with little arrows that point to the group. Try to indicate it some way. This is my newest technique for doing it, which is, you know, having the notes off to the side, you know, just pointing with little arrows. Anyhow, we can see that this is what the result is. And that's about how long each frame takes to render, by the way, at least for the first 40 or 48 frames, and then it will render really fast because everything's cached. Anyway, that is the big change that this had is that I changed the rectangle so that it looked like this. And I changed it so that the colors, we can look at the two colors. This is one color and this is the other color. And then if we look at the glows themselves, I changed it so that the glow for the purple looked like this, and the glow for the orangey yellow turns it to look like that. So that's all it is. Everything else will remain basically the same. There's nothing really changed. But what we want to do is elaborate on this and or change this into something more interesting in another way. Let's try something that we haven't talked about. And you know what? I'm going to just copy this over here for today. We're just going to copy straight from this over because we have it, and we might wire it in. I'm going to take, actually, we're just going to work with what we got already. We're gonna take these. So this is our vertical animation. You know what? I might do. Yeah, we might do. Well, let's look at these. All right, so we're gonna link that in. We need a merge node because we need to merge this over our solid to give it. The solid basically gives it the background. We're just reusing stuff. All right, so let's look at what that does. So we get to this point where, in fact, am I using? Yeah, I'm going to change the rect so that instead of being rounded, I'm going to reset our roundness. So we're going to reset that and reset that so that we have these squares. And, oh, that was weird. My computer made a little glitchy screen thing to me. All right, well, this should reset in a second. It's going to take a little while. You know what? I think we might do better just letting this. I might be getting ahead of Natron. There we go. So this is what it's going to look like. And what we want to do, I want to change our animation. Our animation right now over 49 frames is just going up and down. In fact, we can see it here. We can watch it. Instead of doing this, what I'm going to do is go back and we're going to just take this and, oh boy, looks like there's a lot of extra animation in here we don't need. We can get rid of that. In fact, we're going to get rid of all of this. We're going to just make this, whoops, we're not going to make that like that, excuse me. We're going to just take these two first points where it's going down and up, and we're going to change it so that we're going to change the interpolation to ROM, which will make it move in a straight line. So if we were to actually go below 0, we can see that it goes down, and if it goes above, 1, it just, or above 48, it's going to continue on. And the other thing we might do is we might grab this and shrink it down so it's more along the lines of, I'm holding down control, by the way. Oh, I don't have my keyboards on. Boop. Let's get the keyboard shortcuts going. All right, there we go. That hopefully will show that nope, it's not going to show it. Anyway, I'm holding down, well, it shouldn't matter too much, but if you hold down control, you can see we wind up with something that winds up below, and what we're going to wind up with is around frame, looks like 6 to just after 20, we wind up with what will essentially be a wipe, or not a wipe, but this is going up. All right. So let's change this. This is the title of this is making wipes with this. How can we use this to make wipes? Well, the first way we can do it is to do an animated wipe. Let's just take this and change it so that instead of on the y-axis it being 0.8, we're gonna just up it. We're gonna up it so that it is, I don't know, a few times the size of it. Let's bring it back so that we find so that we guarantee we have a nice transition point. So we're gonna just grab those 2 points, pull them out in time a little bit so they're further out, so we have some space before it, and then around frame, there we go, around frame, so 12 to, let's see, how far out are we going? And let's reset this to 250 for right now until we get this figured out, to around frame 37, it looks like. So all right, it's a long transition. Might be a bit much. We can speed this up even more. Whoops, I want to, hold on. Let's, come on, shrink this down a bit more. let's just, here, you know what? It's going to be faster if we just grab the frames themselves and bring them in. There we go. All right, so now it should be, hopefully, there we go. Everything should be faster, and we should wind up with, what the heck? That was a mistake. Whoa. My computer's running, giving me a little lip. You know what? I think I'm going to just, for the moment, get nervous about this. There we go. All right, so we just have a quick, very quick between, so about frame 18 to frame 24. 18 to 24 is where we have our transition. So let's set this to like 30 frames so that we keep this nice and short. So here's an example of something we can do with the SeExpr. If we go out here and we can set up a transition that actually we're going to need this to be longer than 30 frames. Just think about this. We need this to be, all right. Let me think about this. We need to first of all turn this back on. It's taking a long time to calculate this out, which is a little upsetting, but not a huge deal. We might lower our resolution just a little bit here for our project size, just to make this go faster. In fact, I think I'm going to do that right now. So let's see. Let's just hit let's hit S. Change this to PC video so that we get this really small. That means our entire animation is going to be much smaller, which means, all right, let's bring this down to a reasonable size. Let's make this, let's make this 2 for right now. And we're going to put a solid here. Just think about this. Do solid good. You know what? We're going to do a constant for right now for background. And the reason for this, make sure this should use our background. So it's PC video. And then just to ensure that everything is right, we're going to go over here. Let's center this. Let's reset its center here. Come on. Uh-oh. Okay. What's going on here? Why is this not centered? Okay. There it is. All right. That's still... You know what? We're going to shrink the size of that down a little bit, the rec as well. Let's take our transform. Let's reset our center. There we go. 320 by 320. And we're way low. We can shrink this down quite a bit vertically. And we'll grab the nodes. And why is that? We don't need that. Okay. What in the world is going on here? Natron's acting very, very slowly. My apologies. I actually think we're glitched out in some weird way. Oh, I've got it just rearranged. Oh, I'm looking at things. All right, there we go. That's not going to be what we want. We want that out of there. There we go. Don't want anything there. All right. So let's go. Let's just find out where. What in the heck is going on here? Oh, wow. All right. Let's look at that. Focus on this. All right. We're going to make this way smaller. We're going to make the Y value. I'm going to make it 1. No, we're going to make it 2. Y value is going to be 2. The X value is going to be 0.4. I'm going to reset our center, which is not resetting for whatever reason. So, you know what? We're going to just delete that. We're going to put a new transition in, or transform node in here. We're going to scale this down to 0.8 or to some small number. I don't know what. Let me think about this. We actually want to, I'm thinking about this. We have a problem, which is that our actual, all right, our square for our cube or box was set to the wrong size by default, which a box size is, oh, I'm feeding it. Oh, that's not good. Wait a minute. We're going to have a problem. The box size, all right. So a box was centered on our source, so it was not, our transform was not in the center, or it doesn't matter. The point is that we need, one of the big problems we face is that this is too big. We actually need to divide this, make this 640. All right, we're going to need to do horizontal resolution right now is that's odd. Should be PC video, which I believe is 640. Here, hold on. Yeah, 640 by 480. So we're going to just go here. Let me, history. Oop. So if we take 640, we're going to divide it by 5. So we should make this 128. Our rectangle should be 128. What? Wait a minute. There we go. Let's make this 128. So we can divide it nice and evenly. All right. So there we go. We're going to do 5 instances of this. And right. So what is it going to do? For our animation, what we're going to do, we're actually going to reset our scale. And we're going to change it so that vertically it can be a bit bigger, like so. There we go. And we're going to transform it. So we're going to go back to frame 10. I'm going to set a, let's do a transform. We'll set the Y. We're just going to set it to -100 for right now. And we're going to just keep knocking it down until we're below the screen. That's good enough. -500. You know what? I'm going to go 510. Just set a key. Then we're going to go forward. We're going to do a 10 frame transition. Or, well, no. We're going to make this take 5 frames to get up to full. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to go 5 frames ahead. And we're going to just skip 5 frames ahead. And we're going to bring this up so that it's centered. So if we set this to 0... should look like that. All right. So, why did I do this? Well, what we're doing, let me think about this. Do I want it to be 5 frames? 5 frames is good. You can change that to whatever, however many instances. The reason I have it set to 5 is I want to make 5 instances of our 5 rows. So we're gonna set this to 1 column with. Wait a minute. Oh, was it 1 row? Excuse me, 1 row. 5 columns or... Hold on. Yeah, no. We want 1 column, 5 rows. Oh, that's why. I'm like, why is that giving us... Because our last source is still 2, which was giving us... Oh, that's something I didn't go over in the last one. Right, now that we've implemented sources, if you leave a source empty and you tell it that you're using more sources, you'll wind up with a blank space where that source was, which is good if you're doing randomization, something I didn't mention in the last episode when we created that. So we've set this up and our animation is offset by, we have it, our offset should be, time offset is 12, which is not good. We're going to just set it to, reset this to, whoops, Nope. Reset it to default, which is 0. Then we're going to set it to 1. All right. And so, because it's offset by 1, if we scrub through this, what we should see, I would think, all right, is there, if everything, oh, wait, something happened. Oh, because it's, right, there we go. All right. So, let's play through this. And we can see that we have created something that basically is a wipe that goes up over time. And we can see that we have this wipe where it goes up and we wind up wiping. We're creating something. And while this may not look like a wipe, this is actually very much a wipe. The only difference is we've created is basically a stair-step wipe of things moving up. Now, we could, in theory, put something like if we wanted to take a source and transition this up with it, all we have to do is put in a UV as whatever our source is. Think about that. Let me make sure. Well, I'm actually not going to say that one will work the best. This will make a staircase stepped ladder type, or not ladder, but a stair step transition. This can be used. All we have to do is turn this to an alpha channel, and we have to clamp it. So we clamp this. All right. So by clamping this, what the blazes is going on here? Why did that? That's weird. Should not have done what it's doing. Well, now that is odd. That isn't right. What's going on here? Why are we going from this to this? Well, that's weird. Oh, I know, because it's because we're using it as a solid. All right, fine. This constant, we don't have alpha channel we still don't have alpha channel implemented. So what's happening is our alpha channel is coming in. Our current alpha channel is our initial alpha channel, because we haven't done any alpha math. So we still need to transition, use a solid for our initial information until such time. But we don't want our, let's go back. We don't want our clamp node, let's turn this, we can leave it, doesn't matter how it is now. We want to leave our clamp node set. The reason that we have to put this clamp node is because while this may not show it, or may not look like it, it's not showing it here. Actually, it may not, in this case, matter too much. But in a lot of cases, if any boxes or any elements, because we're adding it all together, wind up above 1, as we pointed out in the last episode, things will wind up blowing out higher. And this will mean that our transition, anything that's above 1, will cause any colors, if we're using this as an alpha channel, to get pushed, driven beyond whatever they were in our color channel. So we need to clamp the transitions down so everything remains in between 0 and 1 for transitions. So in this case, what we're doing is we're basically creating this transition, but then what we need to do is basically take one of the channels and put it into our alpha channel. So by just putting in a shuffle node, we're going to just take our shuffle node after our clamp node and tell it that our alpha channel is now going to be channel BR. All right, so now we're using the R channel from this, which is going to be, if we look at the alpha, we can see now it's the same as what the R channel was, which, if we go to the red channel, is this. So they're one and the same. They basically, it doesn't matter. It's just replaced it. So now this can work as a transition. So an animated transition. So if we create a merge node over here, and we put in two things, let's put in the color bars over here, and we set the color bars as our A input, and then, actually, let's make the color bars our B input, so that we can, or B input, There we go. And let's see, what do we have for draw nodes that might be interesting? We'll use a plasma as our second input. So we'll put a plasma over here and make that the A input, although I don't know if plasma has... Come on, A, there we go. Plasma has alpha channel. All right, we need to give plasma a solid background so it doesn't have that. There we go. And so there we go. So now what we're going to do is we're going to basically, by doing this, by piping that in as the mask, and we hit play. When we hit play, we can create, we're basically creating a transition. And we'll see, there's our transition happening right here. We'll see up. It's going to take it a minute. It has to calculate this out. I think it's actually, whoop, wait a minute, it paused it. Why did it pause it? That was weird. Wait a minute. There we go. All right. So this could be, if this were video, it would have been a transition, a 5-frame transition. Now, admittedly, 5 frames is not really, that's just a little bit too long. And we seem to be having, still having a problem here with, what in the world is going on here? All right, our SeExpr node is screwing up somehow. It cached it wrong. All right, we need to clear our cache, clear all caches. Let's render this out. There we go. Now it's rendering it properly. That was just a cache error because it didn't cache it properly. Just, you have to remember to keep these this checked right here, and it will render, and it's just taking it. Why did it stop? This is very odd. There we go. That's weird. We're just having some weird issues here. So anyway, so now if we hit play, there we go. We can see our transition is going up. And so that's one example of a transition. So we can use this. You're saying, oh, well, poor Bill Wee, that's not so hard. I could have done that with anything. Well, yes, you could have done that with a lot of different things. But we're not restricted to this. That was just one example of a transition. Let's go back up here. Let's reset our rect to let's keep this. All right, wait a minute. We want to go actually down here. Let's reset this to defaults, all dimensions. Let's remove our animation parameters, so it's at 0. All right, so we have this here. Let's rotate this. No, I'm not going to rotate it. I'm just trying to think of what to do. Okay, let us set this to, yeah, we're going to set this to scale. We're going to, all right, how many of these do we need to fill this vertically? Let's see. Let's add ourselves, give us some offsets. 2, 3, 4. All right. So 4 should give us, and enough of these. It's not going to be perfect, but, because we didn't divide it by the height, so these are not going to be perfect squares, but or they'll start as perfect squares. Anyway, you'll understand momentarily. What we're going to do is we're going to take this, take our animation here, and go back to frame 10. We're going to actually make these 10-frame animations, and we're going to set this to 0, set a key, all dimensions, and then we're going to go 10 frames in, and we're going to set this to 1, and now what we can do is if we go back here and we go to frame 9, we can see, oh, actually, we've got to do this a little bit longer. This might be, I'm cheating here. That's weird. Wait a minute, I did that on frame 10. Why is this doing it on frame? All right, let's look at our animation. Hold on, what frame did I do my animation on? Frame 10, I set to scale to 0. So why is our offset should be 1, which should be 0. Oh, because we're in a positive direction. Can we go negative? Never thought about it. Well, that's what we want to do. It's negative animation. So this might take longer. I don't remember. I don't know exactly how long this is going to take, but you know what? This is as you can tell, I haven't really scripted this out too long. We're going to actually go back to our dope sheet and bring this in. We are going to make this 5 frames. Instead, there we go. And whoops, go back to our node graph, which is offset because, yes. All right, so here we go. So on frame 10, and we'll set this to like 50 frames, I think. And hopefully by 50 we have white. Yes, we do. Don't know how long this is going to be, but all right. So let's take a look at what this one looks like. So anything that we do in black and white basically will get used as a transition. So we can use this to create transitions. In this case, we're making transitions of squares that are growing over time. By setting our time offset to a negative number, we see that we make these squares that grow up or grow over time. And so this is going to work as a wipe that we didn't have before inside of Natron. And we can set as many, well, not as many, but we can set a whole lot of these to be our actual animation. So we can see that actually that fits pretty nicely. I'm surprised. I thought that was going to be not quite as clean as it turned out to be. So there we go. So there, and so it takes that long exactly to occur, so we can watch it. This is about how fast our animation actually will play, which is not exactly, it's not the smoothest animation in the world, but it would work. So if we actually apply that to a video with some form of video, we're assuming we're going to treat these as video. We start off with our A source, and then we go to our B source, and as you can see, it transitions very nicely. So if that was video, would transition. So that's one thing we could do. We could also change it so that instead of using squares, we could change it so that, whoops, 1 second, that's taking too long. Let's change this so that instead of a rectangle, we want to do this with radials. Now this is one of the points where we're going to have to make it bigger. So what we're going to have to do here, let's put in a radial. Oops, not read, radial. There we go. Put our radial in here. Let's look at our radial size. We're going to set our radial so that it is uniform in size. We're going to set it so that it is, let's see. So this is 128. We're probably going to need it to be twice the size. All right, let's, first of all, let's take our radial. You know what? I'm going to keep both because what I'm going to do, I want to see the ROD for my rectangle, and I'm going to use that as my reference for how big I want this to be. And what I want to do is I want to take my, so we're going to take our properties here, and we're going to set this to 2. Then we're going to pull up our radial, and we're going to center it. And then what we're going to do is shrink it down so that it is twice the size. So I think what we want to do is, all right, first of all, we want to set it so that the hardness of this is 0.1. Or actually, we want it actually harder than that, 0.01. There we go. That gives us a nice anti-aliased edge. And then we're going to make it so, shrink it down so that it's about twice the size. So we'll say if it was 128, it would be 256. And if we recenter that, that should keep it inside. And the reason we want it to be inside or bigger than that is because, you know, it's still a little bit big. We could probably bring this down a little bit more. Probably about there. Let's try and recenter it. But the point is that we need to make sure that the edges of this, once the circles grow, that they end in a way position where they overlap in every direction. So we need it to be bigger than our actual thing. And so anyway, what we'll do is if we place this on there, it should use the exact same transform. Everything should remain the same. And so if we go back here to frame 10, or before frame 10, and we watch this and we back it up, or actually let's go to frame 9, hit play through this. We should wind up with circular transitions that should work almost exactly the same. Now, I'm doing this one so that we can see, they're a little bit bigger, as we can see, than the other one. But we have to stop it at some point if we're going to have the ones beside it sort of come in a similar fashion. But this is a unique, kind of weird, transition that we've made of our own. We could do, this is, some form of tiled transition that we could theoretically have done using other types of transitions, but we can also do other things that we couldn't have done with it. We couldn't have done the wipe transition with any of the tile set ones. We could do this one with the tile set. Sort of. It would have, when we got to the edge, it would have ended up with a cube, which wouldn't have been as nice. But anyway, so let's go back to the beginning here and actually watch it with the let's watch it from frame 9. There we go. And that's what it would look like with with something behind it. So we can see we can use this in its current state to create custom transitions just by feeding something in as black and white, running it through. Now, I do want to actually, let's see. This may be a good point. If we turn off that clamp, this should, yes. We can see here, this is what happens if we turn off the clamp. The problem is if we don't turn off the clamp, or if we don't add a clamp, these look like they're white, but they're not really. They're actually being driven past it because they're getting added together. And so by not clamping it, if we don't clamp it first, what happens is it overdrives things. And so what we're winding up with is negative values over here, and things are adding higher than 1. These are much higher than 1. So we wind up with this sort of array of really weird. It could be interesting. Let's just watch through this. It's not going to look right at the end, but it could look interesting. And of course, we're not starting off on frame 1. But anyway, so that's what happens if we don't. That's what the transition would look like if we didn't have the clamp node in there. So if we then add the clamp node, we can see that that's what our transition looks like. And so that's another example of another transition. And we're going to do one more transition, which I think not 100% sure about this next transition. I really got to think about whether this next transition is going to work. What we could do, we can do animated transitions. So I'm just trying to think of something that we could take I know what we could do. Using our rectangle that we did before. Let's go back and back to our array node. Oh yes, I also want to point out something else to people. If you don't want to have the Python code here, I mean, this is meant to give us feedback. But if for some reason this is bothering you and you don't like seeing this, one of the things you can do is if you go into the Manage User Parameters and go to our Python code and we edit this, we can actually hide that, and our Python code still is there. It's happening in the background, but you'll notice your entire controls, there's no expression. That way people can't mess with it. So people might not get, if somebody goes, oh, I wanted to, reset this. Well, actually, if you reset this to default in this way, that will reset the entire node, and we would totally bulk our entire expression up. But, well, we'll get into that later. But anyway, I just wanted to point out, and for some reason I left the tile direction on this one. Oh, well, whatever. Doesn't matter. Anyway, I just wanted to show that as as something that people could do. But back to this. We can, let's set our row, keep our rows 5, set this back to, not 0, it's not going to be 0 anyway because it's 1. Actually, that's a good point. We can do negative, that ought to be different. Oh, but let's go back here. Let's take our transform and let's reset it to, let's see, we could do scale this, oh yes, we want to go back in time. Let's go here. Let's set this, split this, reset this to default. Let's see. Let's reset that parameter to default, which is a scale of 1. And that's weird that it is that. And we're going to set this to a size of 1. Actually, we're going to set that to a size of 0. I'm just thinking about this. Is that going to work? Yeah, we'll keep it 1. You know what? No, we're going to remove animation all dimensions. Keep it 1. Change this. We're going to, I'm just thinking we want to reproduce what we had in the last one, which is, we'll set that to 5. Actually, what we're going to do is rotate this. So we're going to rotate this 45 degrees. And we're going to actually need this bigger than 5. So it's going to be about there. And that means we need to actually make our... in order to... is this going to matter? No, it shouldn't matter in this case because we are doing diagonals, I think. Let me think about this. We may want to actually reduce this just a smidge so that it's more like that. Yeah, so it's coming from the corner and hopefully ending in the corner. Pretty darn close to the corner. This may cause some problems, but we can solve that by just increasing our ROD just a smidge. So let's copy this. We need a slightly bigger ROD because remember, anything that goes outside of our ROD is going to be too big. So we need to make our ROD slightly wider. So we're going to take this and we'll make this a cent size and we'll make the width. So the 640, we'll make it 740, recenter it. There we go. And hopefully when we tile that, let's look at that. Let's focus on that. So we're going to need a few more iterations of this. Let's see. So 5, let's try 6 iterations. Uh-oh. We're winding up with something that is... this isn't going to work because the problem we face... I have an idea. The problem we face is... oh, all right, so let me explain why this isn't going to work. The reason this isn't going to work is because the animation, it's based off of the width, and we're rotating it for... it's still based off of whatever our size is here. So it's subdividing that. In order to make this bigger, we would have to make this significantly bigger. By whatever multiple we need to make it bigger, which is hard to say without... all right, we would have to make this instead of 8, we'd have to make it like 8, 9,000, center it. And I still, oh, and it's still based off of output format. Right, it subdivides based off of output format. So this isn't going to work. Never mind. All right, we're going to have to... we would have to... I was thinking this would work, but this unfortunately will not work. We would have to do something far more complex and way beyond what I was hoping to do today. Anyway, there's some... that gives us some basic ideas of some simple... these are some simple transitions that people could make. Doing this, I'm sure people could explore and do more things on their own. Today, as I say, I have to keep this short because of the fact, and more or less unprepared because I've been packing boxes, lots of boxes over the past few days. And anyway, for a move, And I am going to still be doing this here at this location for probably just under a month. But we are making some moves and then over the next few weeks. So, but tomorrow is going to be a big move, one of our big move days. So I'll have to keep this short and sweet. So I got to call it here. Well, we don't really have a today's goal. Today's goal was to make transitions. We made a bunch of little transitions. We saw them. This would look weird. We could look at this. It's not going to be an interesting transition. It's actually not going to be a transition at all. But anyway, but we also looked at the last week's or last episode, last week's thing, and it was this, and the glowing, and this can again be downloaded if you go into last week's post on YouTube or on Facebook. You can see you can download this. I've linked it. People should be able to find it. So thanks for watching, and keep on Natroning. What just happened? I just lost my my app just crashed on me.